She discovered an incredible surprise waiting at home after an early release from the hospital. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped through the front door, her body still weak from the grueling weeks in the hospital. The room was dim, casting shadows that echoed her fear of what awaited her. Stacks of unpaid bills, a sink full of dirty dishes, and a heavy silence that wrapped around her like the hospital sheets she just left behind. But as she pushed the door fully open, a kaleidoscope of sound broke the quiet. Laughter, music, and the heady scent of homemade lasagna flooded her senses. The living room was alive. Balloons bobbed over a banner reading "Welcome Home, Sarah." Jamie stood at the center, face alight with joy, hugging friends from school and neighbors she hadn't seen since her hospital stay. She had been so consumed by her own struggles that she had almost forgotten how vibrant their life could be. Even amid hardship, the warmth of community rushed over her, igniting the embers of hope she thought had faded. Yet, confusion tangled with gratitude. She had always vowed to stand alone, to protect Jamie from the burdens of their financial issues. Acceptance of this generosity felt like a crack in her armor. Her pride murmured, questioning if she was now just a charity case. But as she watched Jamie, bubbling with excitement, her apprehension began to melt. This was more than a party. It was a statement that they were not alone. "Mom! Look! Everyone came to see you." Jamie's voice rang out, pulling Sarah from her thoughts. Frank, the veteran who owned the local deli, caught her eye from across the room. His presence reminded her of the late-night talks over sandwiches, where he'd shared his own battles, lending her comfort. He offered a simple nod, his eyes affirming that vulnerability wasn't a weakness. It was a bridge to connection. As Sarah stepped further inside, the vibrations of joy swirled around her like confetti. Hands reached out, embracing her, enveloping her in warmth and allowing her to taste the love they held for her family. Yet, even as hugs felt like safety, they couldn't erase the gnawing worry in her stomach about debts mounting without resolution. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that moment of conflicting emotions, Sarah glimpsed Jamie talking animatedly with Mrs. Peterson, their kind-hearted neighbor. It struck her how even during her absence, Jamie was weaving bonds with a community that rallied together in their time of need. The tears threatened to spill, both from pride in her daughter and a deep-seated fear of failing her. But what if accepting help was not surrender? What if leaning on others could create an even stronger foundation for Jamie as she grew? Sarah's heart ached with the weight of that realization. The tension between independence and interdependence crackled in the air, and she struggled to reconcile these two worlds. Would she allow herself to lean on something larger than her struggles? Or would she keep fighting this battle alone, risking everything? The questions lingered, leaving her on the precipice of decision, hanging in the balance between her past and a new way forward. The sound of laughter echoed in the hallway as Sarah took a deep breath, feeling a mix of joy and fear. She forced a smile as she caught snippets of conversations, friends reminiscing about silly moments, sharing what had been happening in their lives while she was away. It was a beautiful cacophony, but it stirred something deep within her, a fear of returning to normalcy, and the weight of everything that still lay ahead. "Let me help you, Sarah. You should sit down." Jamie's voice broke through her thoughts. She looked up to see her daughter rushing towards her, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Sarah swallowed hard, attempting to steady her heart. The sight of Jamie's enthusiasm was a balm against her worries, but it also amplified the anxieties that lay suppressed. "I'm okay, sweetie," she replied, but even as she said it, doubt crept in. Would she really be okay? Through the gathering, a steady stream of her neighbors approached, offering hugs, warm words, and even smiles that felt enough to chase away the darkness that had hovered over their home. Each gesture reassured her, yet a knot formed in her stomach as the reality of the mounting bills lingered like a shadow. It felt unfair everyone was giving her this joy, but her mind kept racing to the responsibilities waiting for her outside this moment of happiness. "Mom, you brought the lasagna, right?" Jamie leaned against her, her eyes wide with expectation. I can't wait to eat it. Sarah chuckled softly, the sound mixing with the laughter that enveloped them. She had almost forgotten about the food she had prepared before she got sick. It had cooled on the counter untouched. Of course I did. It's waiting for us. As they moved together toward the kitchen, Sarah noticed Mrs. Peterson leaning closer to Frank, deep in conversation. The soft glow of candlelight danced across their faces, reflecting a sense of connection that Sarah had always admired among her neighbors. She had once been part of that camaraderie, but the isolation of her struggles had created a wall between them. Sarah, come join us, called out Frank, motioning her over with an encouraging wave. With each step, she felt her anxiety shifting, if only for a moment. She joined the small group, the warmth of their chatter washing over her. Jamie's hand slipped into hers, squeezing tightly, grounding her in this moment of community and love. See, everyone missed you, she whispered, her small voice filled with unfiltered joy. But just then, a knock echoed from the door, drowning out the laughter. Sarah's heart sank again, the weight of uncertainty palpable. Who could it be? Was it more help or another burden she could not bear? Mom, I'll get it. Jamie darted towards the door, her excitement palpable. As she opened it, a figure stood silhouetted against the porch light, tall, familiar. Sarah's breath hitched. Her heart raced with an inexplicable mixture of dread and hope. Josh? Sarah questioned as she stepped closer, the hint of disbelief slipping into her voice. What would he mean to her now, after everything that had happened? As the door swung wider, Jamie beamed, seemingly unaware of the emotional storm brewing behind Sarah's eyes. Do you know him, Mom? The question hung in the air, charged with revelations yet to come. Would the presence of someone from her past bring comfort, or would it unravel everything she had fought to rebuild? The atmosphere shifted, tension crackling like electricity, and Sarah stood frozen, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. The unexpected reunion meant she had to face more than just the struggles at home. It was a confrontation with her past, and the choices that awaited her as she stepped into this new chapter. The door opened fully, revealing Josh, his familiar silhouette illuminated by the warm porch light. He looked different, a bit older, maybe a little worn by time, but his deep brown eyes were still the same, hiding a myriad of complex emotions. For a fleeting moment, Sarah was paralyzed, caught between the bright laughter of her friends and the shadows of her past creeping back into her present. Hey Sarah, Josh said, his voice steady despite the current crackling tension. Hi, she stuttered, her mind reeling. Memories flooded back, sweet and painful at once. It had been years since they last exchanged words. Those years were filled with silence that had felt equal parts deserved and tragic. Jamie, unaware of the whirlwind currently swaying her mom, tugged on Sarah's hand, pulling her toward Josh. You know him, right? Who is he? The innocence in her voice cracked through the layers of confusion enveloping Sarah. Her heart raced. He's an old friend, she managed, capturing the essence of their complicated history in such a simple description. A lifetime of experiences flashed through her mind, shared dreams, laughter, and the sharp sting of loss when things fell apart. I'm back in town for a bit, Josh said, his smile attempting to ease the moment. Thought I'd check in and see how you're doing. Really? That's great, she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Memories of how they'd grown distant threatened to overpower the warmth of Jamie's presence. This was not how she wanted her first night back to feel. As the laughter in the background faded slightly, Sarah internally wrestled with her feelings. Josh had been an anchor in her world once, but she was unsure if his reappearance was a gift or a test. Did she have the strength to face him, to confront the past? Why now? The question escaped her lips before she could filter it, caught in the web of emotions that knotted her stomach. Jamie's eyes darted between them, sensing the change in the air. Honestly? He ran his fingers through his hair in that familiar way that made her heart skip. I heard about what happened. I just wanted to see if you needed anything. I'm good, she said reflexively. But she wasn't, and they both knew it. Mom, let him help, Jamie chimed, her enthusiasm untouched by the undercurrent of tension. Abruptly, Sarah felt the weight of her daughter's hopes. Jamie had always believed in the goodness in people, and she still wanted to believe the world could be kind. This, however, felt different. Maybe we should, Sarah began, but the hesitation lingered, like the fluttering silence between them. All these thoughts, shadowed by the growing strain of her uncertainty, clouded the joy of reconnection. As the laughter picked up around them again, Sarah looked toward the kitchen where friends were prepping the dinner, still untouched by the complexity of the moment just outside. She could feel them waiting, hovering. "Come on, Sarah. It'll be like old times," Josh urged softly, his voice barely above a whisper, yet it sliced through her doubts. Old times. She hadn't thought about those in years. Did she really want to dig into memories when her present was so fragile? Maybe just for a moment she finally breathed, the words tasting bittersweet on her tongue. The knot in her stomach tightened, and she felt the thrill of fear mingle with comfort. Sarah had to face the music eventually, and having Josh in her life again felt both thrilling and unnerving. But what would that mean for Jamie? For her sense of safety? As she nodded slowly, a wave of realization washed over her. This was a step into uncharted territory, where old wounds met fresh hope, and she was letting it unfold in that charged moment. Sarah knew she was standing on the precipice of something she couldn't fully understand. The night was just beginning, and with every heartbeat, she felt both terrified and exhilarated by the possibilities ahead. Was this a chance for healing or just a door to more chaos? Josh's familiar smile settled on her heart like a distant memory awakening, and all she could think was how precarious everything felt. What if this was the second act she never expected? What if it all could unravel again? The anticipation pulsed between them, and Sarah's heart beat louder as she took a hesitant step forward. It was time to find out where this would lead. The moment was here and she couldn't turn back now. The moment hung in the air, thick and electric, as Sarah took that tentative step toward Josh. The porch light cast a soft glow, illuminating the space between them, where so much unspoken history lay. Laughter bubbled from the kitchen, striking a stark contrast to the weight looming over Sarah's heart. "Want to come inside?" Josh asked, breaking the silence like a gentle ripple in water. His invitation tugged at her. Was this truly the right decision? She shot a glance at Jamie, who was beaming with excitement and hope. The innocence in her daughter's face reminded Sarah of the girl she used to be, so trustful and eager to embrace new beginnings. Sarah started, her voice trailing off as she felt the tug of old fears. Why was she hesitating? This was a reunion, an opportunity to reconnect. But what if everything went wrong as it had years ago? Josh stepped aside, allowing her and Jamie to enter the house. The familiar scent of pot roast and roasted vegetables wafted through the air, wrapping around her like an old, comfortable blanket. Even the walls seemed to resonate with memories. The echoes of laughter and heartache danced between the shadows. As they walked into the living room, Sarah noted familiar faces, friends she hadn't seen in years, gathered around the dining table. They halted their conversation, their eyes widening in curiosity as she and Josh entered. Some offered muted smiles, while others exchanged glances filled with surprise and questions. "Hey, look who decided to join us," called out Lisa, a friend who had stood next to Sarah during some of her most tumultuous times. Her smile was genuine, welcoming. "Thought you were still out chasing the sun," Ray teased, raising a glass in their direction. "Just catching up with an old friend," Sarah managed, her words hanging heavily in the air. The light-hearted atmosphere started to pull Sarah in, and she could feel the weight lifting, if only a little. Yet as she turned to Josh, she noticed the tight line on his face, the uncertainty in his eyes. "You okay?" she whispered, a genuine concern breaking through her hesitation. "Yeah, just it's good to see you," he replied, though his voice held a tinge of sadness, as if he was wading through water filled with wreckage from their past. Jamie, blissfully unaware of the tension, was wandering over to the food, her little hands filling a plate with what she could reach. Laughter bubbled up as her friends resumed chatting, and the warm buzz of reunion wrapped around them like a fuzzy sweater. "Let us eat," Lisa announced, and the group began to settle down, pulling chairs closer around the table. As they shared stories, laughter bounced around the room. Yet Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that shadows lurked just beyond the surface. She was grateful for Jamie's laughter, for the warmth of her friends, but Josh's presence loomed like a question mark over her, prompting curiosity and fear in equal measure. Eventually, as conversations flowed, Sarah felt a sense of connection start to slip away. She glanced sideways at Josh, who was deep in conversation with another friend, though she sensed a flicker of unresolved emotions reflecting between them. The laughter faded into haze, and her thoughts spiraled back to choices. What if they opened up old wounds? Was she ready to dig into the past with a man who had caused both heartache and happiness? Mom? Jamie's voice cut through the fog, her big eyes imploring Sarah to join in laughter. Can you tell us the story of when you and Josh got stuck in the rain? A laugh bubbled up unbidden. The memory felt both delicate and sturdy. Oh, that was a wild adventure. But as she began the story, she was aware that this was just the beginning. Old wounds had a way of reopening when pushed by nostalgia, and she could feel the stirring of feelings beneath the surface. The night danced forward, but Sarah remained at a crossroad, unsure of where her heart truly lay. Was she ready to step into the tangled web of her past? And as the laughter swelled once more, a new tension hung in the air, poised to unravel. What secrets would surface next, and at what cost to the fragile patchwork of their lives? Sarah's laughter echoed around the room as she launched into the story. It felt good to share, to let the warm memories flow like honey on soft bread. Jamie's eyes sparkled with delight, eager for every twist and turn. Yet, each chuckle tethered her more tightly to her past with Josh. A past she thought she had neatly tucked away in a box, hidden beneath other memories. Remember that storm? She began, her voice light but tinged with uncertainty. We were so unprepared. Oh, how could I forget? Josh chimed in, his voice unexpectedly steady. We ended up soaked to the bone and took refuge under that big oak tree. I thought I'd never let you live it down. The room erupted into laughter, but as she looked at Josh, she felt a wave of nostalgia mingling with something more profound. His smile was wide, yet the lines around his eyes hinted at deeper thoughts. Was he recalling all the good times? Or was he haunted by the mistakes that had crushed their connection? Mom, tell them what you said when you realized we left the car running. Jamie urged, her giggles infectious. All right, Sarah replied, waving her hands dramatically. I think I said something like, what if the car gets struck by lightning? Or what if we swim away? Josh interjected, his smile widening. Their eyes met briefly, and Sarah felt a rush of vulnerability wash over her. They were standing on the edge of a precipice. Any shift could send them toppling into old wounds or a new connection. As the laughter continued to swirl around them, Sarah turned her gaze back out into the room. The warmth of her friends provided comfort, yet the lingering glances between her and Josh were electric, like a charged wire waiting to snap. Sarah bit her lip, trying to focus on Jamie's laughter, but the weight of unspoken words grew heavier with every chuckle. When dinner was over, the group shifted to the living room, sofas rearranged for comfort. Everyone settled in for a movie night, but Sarah found it hard to concentrate. Josh had drifted back to her side, leaning over slightly, and the closeness sent an unexpected flutter through her. You handled that story great, he whispered, his breath warming her ear. You've always had a talent for making everything sound fun. Just dusting off the old tales, she replied lightly, but inside her heart raced. What if she wasn't just digging up the past, but also paving a way to something new? The evening spun further, filled with laughter and snacks. Yet, as the credits rolled on the movie, Sarah felt the moment of truth drawing nearer. Friends chatted happily, their voices a soft backdrop. Yet her world narrowed to just one person. Hey, can you step outside for a moment? Josh's voice broke through her thoughts, and it felt weighted, urgent, like a call to arms. She hesitated, glancing back at Jamie, who was carefully selecting a new movie. But Sarah's instinct told her this was a pivotal moment. Sure, she said, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves in her belly. They stepped out onto the porch, the night air cool against her skin. The moon hung like a silver coin above them. Josh turned to her, his expression more serious now. Listen, there's something we need to talk about, he started, his voice low and unwavering. Sarah's breath hitched. What was he about to say? The stakes felt impossibly high, and her heart raced as if anticipating a cliff dive. She could sense the air between them thickening, electric, filled with possibilities and fears. What was waiting for her in this conversation? Before she could articulate her hesitation, Josh continued, his brow furrowed, words spilling out as if he couldn't hold them back any longer. I found something while I was sorting through my old things. The words hung suspended in the air, heavy with the weight of revelation. What surprise awaited her? And was she ready to face whatever followed? Josh paused, the shadows of the night creeping closer around them, wrapping them in silence. The urgency in his voice hung in the air, a promise of something important, something that could change everything. "What did you find?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her heart thudded, anticipation mingling with anxiety. She could feel the weight of his gaze, riddled with emotions only they could understand. He took a deep breath, the luminescent moonlight casting soft shadows across his face. "It was a letter. From us. From when we were together." He fished in his pocket and pulled out a faded envelope, crinkled and worn with time, as if it had traveled through their entire history together. Her hands trembled slightly as he extended it toward her. She could see the edges were frayed, the writing barely legible but familiar. Memories rushed back at the sight: young love, laughter and promises made beneath starlit skies, dreams that bloomed like spring flowers, only to wither away when they parted. Can I read it?" she asked, her voice shaky, unable to suppress the swell of emotions that rose within her. "Yeah, of course," he replied softly, evident hope glimmering in his eyes. Sarah took the letter. She held it tenderly, as if it were a fragile treasure, and slowly unfolded it. The scent of old paper drifted up, enveloping her in nostalgia. As she read, her breath caught. The words on the page spoke of love, of vulnerability, of dreams that never really faded. "I remember writing this," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "We thought we could conquer everything." Josh stepped closer, his warmth enveloping her like a cozy blanket. "Do you still believe that? We could try to rethink things, maybe?" His tone was tentative, like stepping onto ice that might crack beneath them. The memories and feelings swirled inside Sarah. Part of her wanted to cling to the past, to the love that once burned bright between them. But there was also fear of falling again. Fear of risking the delicate balance she had created since their breakup. "I don't know, Josh," she admitted, voice trembling as she struggled to meet his gaze. "What if we only remember the good parts? What if we're chasing shadows?" Josh's expression shifted, vulnerability shining through. "But what if there is something real here still? We've both grown, right? We're not the same people we were back then." The night air felt thick with possibility. Every heartbeat echoed in her chest, and she was acutely aware of everything: the way his eyes searched hers, the anxiety that clenched her stomach, the hope that flickered like a candle in the darkness. Then she remembered Jamie inside, the delicate thread that now connected all of them. I need to figure out what this means for us. For Jamie," she said, trying to ground herself amidst the whirlwind of emotions. "Of course." Josh nodded, understanding etched on his face. "But I'll be here whenever you're ready." Sarah folded the letter back into the envelope and slipped it into her pocket. Feelings still swirled around her, but for the first time, she felt the possibility of something rekindling: a tentative flame. Maybe, but a flame nonetheless. As they stood under the moonlit sky, the air felt different. But what if rekindling their relationship wouldn't just affect them? What ripple effects would it have on Jamie? Before Sarah could voice that concern, an excited shout erupted from inside, pulling her focus back. "Mom! You won't believe what I found." In that moment, a mixture of anticipation and dread flooded her. What had Jamie discovered? She glanced back at Josh, and they shared a meaningful look, an unspoken understanding forged in that fragile silence. Whatever lay ahead held promises and uncertainties, both old and new, a chance to redefine their paths intertwined. And as they turned to go back inside, the weight of the letter and their conversation lingered, whispering possibilities of hours yet to come. What had Jamie really found that could change everything? As Sarah stepped through the door, the warmth of the house embraced her, but a tension lingered in the atmosphere. Jamie's exuberance filled the space, a stark contrast to the swirl of uncertainty within her. She took a deep breath, pushing aside her thoughts for the moment, determined to focus on her son. "Mom! Look!" Jamie bounded towards her, eyes sparkling like the morning dew. In his small hands he clutched a book, a bright yellow cover that bore the title All About Dad. Her heart sank a little. "Where did you find this?" Jamie's face broke into a wide grin, his excitement infectious. "In the living room. I didn't know we had it. It's filled with stories about dads doing all sorts of cool things." Sarah could feel her heart pull in two directions. One part ached at what Jamie was missing: a consistent father figure in his life. The other part, however, filled with tenderness at Jamie's innocent joy. That's nice, honey. Why don't we read it together? Jamie beamed, rushing over to the cozy couch, the book clutched tightly to his chest. Sarah followed him, thoughts racing. Should she tell him about Josh? About the letter? Or about the possibilities they discussed? As she settled next to Jamie, he flipped open the book with eager fingers. Mom, look. This one about the dad who takes his kid fishing. His voice bubbled with excitement. She watched him read, the innocence in his eyes a stark reminder of everything they had faced since the breakup. It was bittersweet, the laughter, the stories, the memories they made alone. Mom? Jamie's voice interrupted her thoughts, drawing her back. Can we see my dad? I mean Uncle Josh? I really like him. Surprised, Sarah felt her heart constrict. Memories of their histories tangled once more. Would reconnecting with Josh mean stepping back into the comfort of family for Jamie? Or would it stir up pain that lay hidden beneath the surface? Well, I'm not sure, she began, but Jamie's hopeful gaze held her captive. He was so earnest, the sincerity in his eyes pulling at her. Please. He really liked that last time when we were all together. Nostalgia washed over her. That night had been special, laughter bouncing off the walls. She had felt something with Josh that night, a flicker of warmth and connection that had caught her off guard. All right, sweetheart, she said softly. We can call him, but let us just make sure it's a good time for everyone. Okay? Okay. Jamie squealed, clapping his hands in delight. I can show him the book. As the evening wore on, they read through the stories, intertwining their own laughter with imaginary adventures. Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her, a feeling she had struggled to hold on to lately. Yet the question lingered. Could the connections between them and between Jamie and Josh really grow stronger? Just as the last story was finished, Jamie's eyes widened. Can you call him now, Mom? The urgency in his voice hit her, igniting her own wish to see Josh. Maybe they could navigate these waters together. Maybe the letter was a sign, something that could sew together the torn pieces of their lives. Okay, I will, she said, taking her phone out. As she scrolled through her contacts, she felt the weight of her decision. What if this was the first step toward rebuilding something profound? She pressed call, her heart pounding. As the phone rang, Sarah felt a whirlwind of excitement and fear. Would Jamie's hope lead them toward something brighter? The moment Josh answered, she felt something shift. Hey, Sarah, but before she could respond, Jamie leaned in, whispering, Mom, tell him to bring cookies. Their laughter echoed through the room, but Sarah felt the reality of their situation looming heavily with every beat of her heart. Was she ready for this? As she glanced at Jamie, brimming with anticipation, she found herself standing on the edge of a precipice. What awaited them on the other side? The phone call sounded like the beginning of a new chapter, but with every moment, she realized, the real challenge was not just rekindling the past but shaping the future. And in that tangled mess of hope and fear, she wondered, could they really navigate it all together? Hey, Sarah, Josh's voice was warm yet cautious. Hi, Josh. It's good to hear from you, she replied, her voice steady but her heart racing. It wasn't just the sound of his voice. It was the memories that came flooding back. That night, laughter, the shared secrets, it all felt like yesterday and a lifetime ago at the same time. What's up? He asked, sounding hopeful yet slightly uncertain. Sarah gathered her thoughts while Jamie's gleeful chatter filled the background. Jamie wanted to know if we could see you. He's been really excited about that last visit. Oh, really? That's great to hear. There was a pause on the other end, as if Josh was considering something deeper. Is he there with you? Yeah, he is, Sarah said, glancing over to Jamie, who was now flipping through the pages of the book, a bright smile plastered on his face. Put him on, will you? She hesitated briefly but then handed the phone to her son. Watching Jamie transform from a quiet observer to an animated participant filled her with a warmth she hadn't expected. Josh, he chirped, his voice a melody of excitement. Do you want to come over? Mom said I could show you this awesome book about dads. Sarah saw Josh's face soften, and the sound of laughter crackled through the line, wrapping around Sarah's heart like a protective cloak. Of course, I'd love to see it. And how about I bring some cookies too? Yay, can you bring chocolate chip? Jamie's enthusiasm was magnetic, pulling Sarah back to simpler times. Chocolate chip it is. How about I swing by in an hour? The agreement hung in the air, filled with silent questions. Could they actually bridge the gap that had formed? Okay, Jamie shouted in approval, his joy infecting the room. Sarah took back the phone, feeling the warmth of Jamie's excitement radiate around her. Are you sure this is okay? She whispered, her voice laced with uncertainty. Absolutely, Sarah. I'm looking forward to it, Josh replied, a reassuring chuckle in his voice that brought a flicker of calm. After a few more exchanges of pleasantries, they hung up. Sarah felt a surge of mixed emotions. Optimism battled with old anxieties. Was this really a good idea? Jamie was looking up at her, eyes sparkling. Do you think he'll love the book, Mom? Of course, honey. He will love it, just like you do, Sarah said, allowing herself to smile amidst her reservations. It wasn't long before Jamie was buzzing around the house, getting all the things he wanted to show Josh ready. As she watched him, a hint of her old self began to emerge. The joy of nurturing, of being a part of something beautiful filled the air. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed. A message from Josh popped up on the screen. Can't wait to see you both. I missed you. Her heart skipped a beat. He missed her? The thought brought a rush of possibilities. What if he meant it in a deeper way, the way she had been missing him? Mom! Jamie's enthusiastic voice knocked her from her thoughts. When will he be here? Soon, buddy. Just a bit longer, she said, taking a breath to steady herself. Yet beneath her calm exterior, hope and fear tangled together, each pulling her in different directions. As the minutes ticked by, Sarah felt the sense of anticipation build. Their family dynamic was shifting, and with it so was their future. But at what cost? Just then a knock echoed through the house, causing her heart to jump. Jamie raced to the door, and Sarah felt her breath catch in her throat. What would this encounter bring? As she stood there, caught in the uncertainty of it all, she realized they were about to step into a new reality. Would it be one filled with warmth, or could it open old wounds? Sarah's heart raced as she watched Jamie fling open the door. Joy radiated off him as he spotted Josh on the other side. Standing there with a big smile, the familiar crinkles at the corner of his eyes making her heart tighten. He looked a bit different, more rugged, maybe? Or was it the way he filled out his t-shirt? Josh! Jamie squealed, and before Sarah could process the moment, Jamie had thrown himself at Josh's legs, hugging him tight. Hey there, champ! Josh laughed, bending down to scoop Jamie up in his arms. The sight of her son being lifted off the ground, giggling uncontrollably, brought a wave of nostalgia crashing over her. It reminded her of times long gone, moments that felt etched permanently in her memory. Look what I have! Jamie exclaimed, wiggling free and darting back into the living room. He grabbed his book, waving it excitedly. It's about all the cool things dads do. You're gonna love it. Sarah stood back, watching the two of them interact, their laughter. The way Josh listened intently as Jamie animatedly turned pages, pointing out pictures. It was pure magic, but somewhere in that blissful scene lay remnants of her fears. Hey! Josh called, pulling her from her thoughts. You should come see this too. She walked over slowly, her heart pounding with every step. The moment she stepped into the circle of light that surrounded them, Josh's gaze flickered to her, making her pulse quicken. You made cookies? He asked, glancing at the plate on the counter. Just a batch I thought we'd enjoy together, she replied, keeping her tone light despite the weight of her emotions. That was a great choice. His smile was disarming, and for a brief second, the world melted away, leaving just the three of them. Mom, look! Jamie interrupted, breathless with enthusiasm. Their essay part where it shows how dads help build treehouses. Can we build one too? His eagerness was infectious. We can definitely plan it, Sarah encouraged, her excitement joining Jamie at. But the underlying reality of their situation crept in again, reminding her that this was not just a visit. It was a chance to redefine their relationship, filled with potential but also uncertainty. As they settled on the couch, Sarah sat across from them, her heart both full and fragile. Josh recounted stories from his childhood, and Jamie hung on every word, his eyes wide with wonder. But when their eyes met, there was an unspoken question hovering between them. Where did this leave them, together? At some point, Josh's laughter faded, replaced by a brief, heavy silence. Sarah, he began, his voice low. I've been thinking a lot about us. The words wrapped around Sarah like a vine, tender yet constricting. Us? she echoed softly, trying to keep her voice steady. Jamie, oblivious to the shift, clutched the book tighter, turning a page. Yeah, Josh continued, undeterred by the tension. About how different things could be, about where we go from here. I'm not sure I can just walk back into your life without acknowledging. He paused. Searching her gaze, vulnerability etched across his features. Sarah felt her breath hitch, and she realized how long she'd waited for this moment, the acknowledgement of something deeper, something that had long been stewing beneath the surface. But as security settled in, doubt came knocking too. Would they be ready to navigate the complexities of their past? Suddenly, Jamie chimed in again. Can we go to the park after this? You can show me how to throw a baseball, right, Josh? His innocent request sliced through the tension. Yet it sparked a different fear within Sarah. There was so much at stake, the past still fresh. What if Josh's intentions changed as soon as they stepped outside these four walls? Sure, buddy, we'll make it happen, Josh replied, his tone light but his gaze still fixed on Sarah. For a heartbeat, the world felt right. Yet Sarah realized that the answers they sought hid just beyond this moment, shrouded in ambiguity. How would they navigate this new chapter? As the laughter filled their home once more, a mix of hope and anxiety washed over her. The answer lay ahead, just waiting to reveal itself. What if the new reality would lead them somewhere they never expected? Sarah felt the warmth of the moment wrap around her, yet it was woven with threads of uncertainty. Their laughter rang in harmony, but her heart pulsed with the weight of unspoken words and questions lingering between her and Josh. The idea of stepping into a new chapter pushed against her tightly held boundaries. Jamie was lost in a world of eager anticipation, flipping through the colorful pages of the book about dads, all while Josh watched with an expression of pure affection. Look at this one, Mom, Jamie called, pointing animatedly. Can you believe their essay part about superheroes? That's the best part, Josh encouraged, leaning a little closer, exchanging a smile with Sarah that was warm but electric. In that moment, Sarah understood. Reconnecting didn't mean erasing their past. It meant weaving their shared history into something new. And Jamie was the bridge between them. A bond stronger than their fears stretched before them, laden with hope. Jamie, Sarah began, her voice soft yet firm. There's something important we need to talk about. She chose her words carefully, knowing how delicate this new dynamic was. Yes? He asked, glancing up from the book with bright eyes, ever hopeful. Josh and we care about each other. The words felt both liberating and terrifying as they left her lips. But it'll take time for us to figure things out. That means some changes for all of us. Like what? Jamie's brow furrowed slightly, already processing the whirlwind of emotions in the room. Like maybe spending more time together, Sarah replied, her heart racing. Taking it one step at a time. Jamie's face lit up, excitement spilling forth. Are we going to be a family again? Like the stories? His straightforwardness could melt the toughest heart. A deep breath filled Sarah's chest. I want that too, buddy. But for it to work, we need to keep talking and understanding each other. Just like the characters in your book. Josh watched the exchange, his expression a blend of admiration and caution. And we need to make sure we're all comfortable, he added, his voice low. Totally, Jamie declared, his innocence a breath of fresh air. Let us go on adventures together. Adventures? Sarah echoed, her heart swelling with optimism. This was their new adventure. A chance to redefine everything. As they shared stories, laughter floated effortlessly, filling the room with light. Time slipped by, each moment weaving them closer. But with each laugh, Sarah felt the backdrop of her anxieties. The reality of their past wasn't going anywhere, and healing wouldn't happen overnight. Josh, she started cautiously as the conversation mellowed. I think it's important we figure out what happened between us back then, she said, a slight tremor escaping her lips. Agreed, he said, nodding, the sincerity in his gaze wrapping around her like a warm blanket. I never wanted to hurt you. With that gentle acknowledgement, the air shifted. They were no longer tied to the mistakes of the past. They were staring at the potential of a shared future. Can we go for that baseball toss now? Jamie interrupted excitedly, eyes sparkling. Right. Let us make some superhero memories, Josh exclaimed, lightening the mood as he stood, pulling Jamie to his feet. Superhero, Jamie shouted, running to the door as if powered by pure joy. Sarah followed. She felt a weight lifting piece by piece. This wasn't just bravado. The warmth of possibility surrounded them like the setting sun, ushering in the night with hope. Standing inside the doorway, she watched as Jamie grabbed a baseball and filled the space with laughter. Josh gently tossed the ball back and forth with him, their bond richly growing, resonating with Sarah's own with each throw. She found herself smiling, easing into the belief that they all could be a family again. They made mistakes, yes, but they also had so much love to give and rebuild. The sounds of laughter and joy intertwined with the setting sun, wrapping around Sarah like a promise that change was possible, that healing was possible if they took it one day at a time. As they stepped into the backyard, the world around them felt more vivid than ever. Together they were weaving a new tapestry, made of laughter, connection, and hope. Let this be the beginning, she thought, heartfelt gratitude filling the open spaces of her heart. They were stepping into an incredible new chapter, a testament to resilience and love, ready to embrace each other fully. So much lay ahead, untold stories waiting to unfold. And for the first time, Sarah felt wildly hopeful. Now's your chance to support the journey. You need to subscribe now for more incredible stories that inspire hope and transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to fuel the algorithm. Comment below with your thoughts and emotions about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us uplift each other together.